door thing. And then, you know, I had told her I came across this. I wanted to do a patio where the entrance is over my window. Because they have low windows. And the one spot I thought, it doesn't have to be very large, but it's, my kitty can go out and or just make it so that I can have it off. But anyway, I told him that I would send him. I did want to help with that. So I would have thought sent it to him. Does it just take place? It sort of does. It looks like it's just a way that you can even slide in the window of a certain part. It just slides into that spot. And you know, and then she can pull it out outside. So I want that this when my kids does go out, the other one doesn't. Oh, is it? Go out on his life. We were a 7-cat family. So, I mean, we had every personality in one. Bubba was wondering where I left it. Creature cat. They're really nice to sit on it. I mean, you just have to use it. I'm pretty sure that was mine. You know, he just was like, are you kidding? Get my paws damp? No way. Or snow. And then take one step. Yeah, and shake. You're right. So funny. My granddaughter has cats.
Trust me, I have a very
They're so funny.
We could,
We had a cat that loved itself. And we did back a lot. We hadn't found this when we found him and brought him home. We had these waterfalls. Running into it, throwing it over. I mean, we had to have like 7 towels. That's really. It is. I gotta say. I mean, I didn't want to take a smile. I mean, I didn't well our cats, yeah, of course. You know, you can make problems. No problem. These are cut left and it would hurt over in the field. And this
now you both have
Humane Society. He thought I was going to cat stories are so funny. Oh my God. You know, they're just, I love dogs. Cats are so, they're just yeah, they are. Often they make me laugh. Not songs. Oh, sure. Okay, sorry.
what's in there?
There you go. You never know. Well, it's funny. This works because, you know, yeah. Hello, hi, I'm Fran. Joel's doing some work on catching up on discovery. And Ellen has a cat too. But the easy cat one, right? I wanted, and I never got around to pursue it, but I wanted to get a cat lady for the I've been so tempted. I remember the first man. Yes, it does. I want to get a t-shirt.
yeah, it was a good class. But I haven't been just
Shabbat Shalom, which I'm more accustomed to saying. Should I keep talking, Shelley? Oh, there we go. Sounds good over here. I'm used to saying Shabbat Shalom to large groups of people gathered in front of me for services, but that's not quite true. It is Shabbat today, but it's also Good Yom Tov, which is Yiddish for a good Yom Tov, which is a little bit redundant, but we like it. And then Gamar Chatima Tova, which is a way of saying, may the outcome of today be a good one for you. I'm Rabbi Batsheva Appel, interim rabbi here at CABI for this year, and I'd like to welcome all of you to our afternoon service, and to all the folks who are joining us virtually. Know that the High Holy Day Prayer Book, as well as the booklet for the afternoon service, is available on the website in the High Holy Day area. And because it's in the High Holy Day area, you're going to need to make sure that you're logged on to the CABI website in order to be able to get at any of those materials. But the High Holy Day Prayer Book has been sliced into and copied so that you can download it as a PDF. So everybody who's here should have one of these, but on wings of awe, and you should have one of these only yellow, which is the song sheet. And you should have one of these, which is the afternoon service booklet. You should have three things that you're juggling around. On Wings of Awe, you're not going to need for a bit because we're going to be in the booklet and with the song sheet. This is a reminder to turn off your electronic devices. At a minimum, just silence them, or you can turn them fully off. If it has a battery and it has a tendency to make a noise, then that would be something that you would want to take out of your pocket or look on your wrist and just double check to make sure that it doesn't go off, because for whatever reason they seem to know what's going on and they have a tendency to go off when, we're in the middle of stuff we don't want interrupted. So go take a look at all your electronic stuff. I don't see any children here at the moment, but in case some enter, there is childcare available in the building. You go in through the front entrance, go down the hallway, all the way down and to the left, and you will see the childcare. So there is childcare for this afternoon. And the bathrooms are also in that building. So again, you go into the main door, you go down the corridor, and on your right, you'll see the restrooms. So that is waiting for you as well. We pray as a community, and I hope that you have a chance to admire the beautiful work of our musicians this afternoon. And I have another poem for us. This one is also by Rabbi Evan Schultz. I read one of his poems at Rosh Hashanah. For texting when I should have called, for listening when I should have heard, for waiting when I should have started, for fearing when I should have spoken, for missing what I should have seen, for watching when I should have come, for asking when I should have realized, for being when I should have acted, for shouting when I should have spoken, for keeping what I should have given, for preaching for what I should have lived, for ignoring what I should have noticed, for going when I should have waited, for doubting when I should have believed. For all these and more, I ask forgiveness. We continue in the booklet on page 2, so in the blue booklet, page 2. A preparation for the Avodah. When the great Rabbi Israel Baal Shem Tov saw misfortune threatening the Jews, it was his custom to go into a certain part of the forest to meditate. There he would light a fire and say a special prayer. The miracle would be accomplished and misfortune averted. Later, when his disciple, the celebrated Maggid of Mezrich, had occasion to plead with heaven, he would go to the same place in the forest and say, Master of the universe, listen, I do not know how to light the fire, but I am still able to say the prayer. Still later, Rabbi Moshe Leib of Saxoff, in order to save his people, would go into the forest and say, I do not know how to light the fire, I do not know the prayer, but I know the place, and this must be enough. And it was enough. It last fell to Rabbi Yisrael of Rizhin to intercede with heaven. Sitting in his armchair, his head in his hands, he spoke to God. I am unable to light the fire, and I do not know the prayer. I can't even find the place in the forest. All I can do is tell the story, and this must be enough. Listen, Eternal One, we're going to tell the story. We continue on our song sheet with Turn, Turn, Turn.
There is a sea.
continue on page 3 in the booklet. The ritual begins at dawn. Great crowds converge from from far and near upon the temple, until its courts are filled to overflowing with priests and Levites, men and women, young and old. The high priest has prepared himself for 7 days. How can he intercede for others if he is impure himself? All night he has rehearsed the sacred ritual, robed in gold. He burns the incense, offers the sacrifices, dispatches a goat into the wilderness, the goat a symbol of the people's longing to be rid of sin. How splendid he looks in his glittering array, how heavy his responsibility. As alone he enters the Holy of Holies, that curtained chamber, mysterious yet simple, containing nothing but a stone. But engraved on that stone are God's 10 words. How glorious he is when he comes from behind the veil of the shrine. 3 times the white-robed high priest recites a confession of sins, first for himself and his family. Ana Adonai kaperna lechatim levavanot lefashim shechatanu. Together, Eternal One, pardon the sins, iniquities, and transgressions that I have committed before you, I and my household, as it has been said. On this day, atonement shall be made for you, to purify you. You shall be cleansed from all your sins before the Eternal One. So too do we confess our own sins for ourselves and our loved ones. Eternal Ones, let our homes be dwelling places of your presence, where love and justice are taught and practiced. We take a moment now for individual meditation based on the prayer at the top of page 5.
Love after love. The time will come when liberation, you will treat yourself alike at your own door, in your own mirror, and each will smile at the other's welcome and say, sit here, eat. You will love again the stranger who was yourself. Give wine, give bread, give back your heart to itself, to the stranger who has loved you. All your life you ignored, for another who knows you by heart. Take down the love letters from the bookshelf, the photographs, the desperate notes. Feel your own image from the mirror. Sit, feast on your life.
Page 6.
You work with what you are given. The red clay of grief, the black clay of stubbornness going on after. Clay that tastes of care or carelessness. Clay that smells at the bottoms of rivers or dust. Each thought is a life you have lived or failed to live. Each word is a dish you have eaten or left on the table. There are honeys so bitter, no one would willingly choose to take them. The clay takes them, honey of weariness, honey of vanity, honey of cruelty, fear. As water given sugar sweetens, given salt grows salty, we become our choices. Each yes, each no continues. This one a ladder, that one an anvil or cup. The ladder leans into its darkness. The anvil leans into its silence. The cup sits empty. How can I enter this question the clay has asked?
practice, being human is a guest house. Every morning a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness. Some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they are a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture. Still, treat each as a guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, for each has been sent as a guide from beyond.
We continue on your song sheet with If I Had a Hammer. We continue with the Vidui, the confession on page 8. I invite those who are comfortable in doing so to please stand. We continue responsibly once we get to the English. Al chet shechatanu lepanecha. We sin against you and we miss the mark. For our failures to fulfill the best that is within us. Eternal One, we ask forgiveness. For passing judgment without knowledge of the facts. And for allowing falsehoods to go unchallenged. For having talents and letting them go to waste. And for setting goals but failing to pursue them. For deceiving ourselves with half-truths. And for pretending to emotions we do not feel. Up our dreams. And for closing our eyes to reality. For conforming to fashion and not to conscience. For indulging in despair and trafficking in cynicism. For self-contempt. And for arrogance and egotism. Ve'al kulam Eloah slichot slach lanu mechal lanu kaper lanu For all these failings, O God of mercy, forgive us, pardon us, grant us atonement. Please be seated. We continue individually at the top of page 9.
Sundays, too, my father got up early and put his clothes on in the blue-black cold. Then, with cracked hands that ached from labor in the weekday weather, they banked fires blaze. No one ever thanked him. I'd wake and hear the cold splintering, breaking. When the rooms were warm, he'd call, and slowly I would rise and dress, fearing the chronic angers of that house. Speaking indifferently to him who has driven out the cold and polished my good shoes as well. What did I know? What did I know of love's austere and lonely offices?
We continue on page 10.
I've walked through many lives, some of them my own, and I am not who I was, though some principle of being abides, from which I struggle not to stray. When I look behind, as I am compelled to look before I can gather strength to proceed on my journey, I see the milestones dwindling toward the horizon and the slow fires trailing from the abandoned campsites, over which scavenger angels wheel on heavy wings. Oh, I have made myself a tribe out of my true affections, and my tribe is scattered. How shall the heart be reconciled to its feast of losses? In a rising wind, the manic dust of my friends, those who fell along the way, bitterly stings my face. Yet I turn, exulting somewhat, with my will intact to go wherever I need to go, and every stone on the road precious to me. In my darkest night, when the moon was covered and I roamed through wreckage, a nimbus-clouded voice directed me. Live in the layers, not on the litter. Though I lack the art to decipher it, no doubt the next chapter in my book of transformations is already written. I am not done with my changes.
We continue on the song sheet, on the back of the song sheet with Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu.
Who's left?
Oyavo Shalom Aleinu, Oyavo Shalom Aleinu, Oyavo Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kulam. Oyavo Shalom Aleinu, Oyavo Shalom Aleinu, Oyavo Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kulam. Salam. Shalom Aleinu, Oyavo Shalom Aleinu, Oyavo Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kulam. Oyavo Shalom Aleinu, Oyavo Shalom Aleinu, Oyavo Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kulam.
As we continue on page 11, I invite those who are comfortable in doing so to please rise for the next round of the Vidui confession. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha. We sin against you when we miss the mark. For the ways we are failing our families to turn on, we ask forgiveness. For condemning in our loved ones the faults we tolerate in ourselves, and for using the sins of others to excuse our own. For expecting too much, and for settling for too little. For always saying no, and for failing to recognize the sacrifice our loved ones make for us, and for making martyrs of ourselves. For confusing love with lust, and for pursuing fleeting pleasure at the cost of lasting hurt. For speaking when we should have been silent, and for keeping silence when we should have spoken. Ve'al kulam Eloah slichot, slach lanu, mechalanu, kaper lanu. For all these failings, O God of mercy, forgive us, pardon us, grant us atonement. We remain standing for the Avodah for the house of Aaron and the people of Israel on page 12. Having confessed his own sins and those of his family, the high priest recites a similar confession for the whole house of Aaron. Ana Adonai kaperna lechata'im ve'la'avonot ve'lefasha'im shechatati ve'shaviti ve'shepashati lefanecha. Ve'tinei כי ביום הזה יכפר עליכם לטהר אתכם מכל חטאותיכם לפני אדוני תטהרו. Eternal One, pardon the sins, iniquities, and transgressions that I have committed before you, I, my household, and the children of Aaron, as it has been said, on this day atonement shall be made for you to purify you. You shall be cleansed from all your sins before the Eternal One. Now the high priest, having confessed for himself and his family, and for all the priests, the third for the whole house of Israel. Ana Adonai kaperna lechata'im ve'la'avonot lepesha'im shechatu ve'she'avu ve'shepash'u lefanecha amcha beit Yisrael kakatu ki vayom hazeh yechaper alechem letaher etchem mikol chatutechem lifnei Adonai titharu. Eternal One, pardon the sins, iniquities, and transgressions that we people that committed before you, as it is by you, you shall be cleansed from all your sins before the Eternal One. We too pray not only for ourselves and our families, but for the Jewish people as a whole, whose destiny is our own and whose hope we share. I invite you to be seated. We continue at the top of page 13 in the booklet, and again, we do that individually. We continue with the poem, My Heart is in the East. My heart is in the east, and I am at the ends of the west. How can I taste what I eat, and how could it be pleasing to me? How shall I render my vows and my bonds, while yet Zion lies beneath the fetter of Edom, and I am in the chains of Arabia? It would be easy for me to leave all the bounty of Spain, as it is precious for me to behold the dust of the desolate sanctuary. We continue on page 14.
I laugh when I hear that the fish in the water is thirsty. You don't grasp the fact that what is most alive is inside your own house, and so you walk from one holy city to the next with a confused look. Go wherever you like, to Calcutta or Tibet. If you can't find where your soul is hidden, for you the world will never be real.
In those years, people will say, we lost track of the meaning of we, of you. We found ourselves reduced to I. And the whole thing became silly, ironic, terrible. We were trying to live a personal life, and yes, that was the only life we could bear witness to. But the great dark birds of history screamed and plunged into our personal weather. They were headed somewhere else, but their beaks and pinions drove along the shore, through the rags of fog where we stood, saying I.
We continue on the song sheet with the song Lechi Lach.
To a land
You shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. Let me On page 15, we rise again, as you are comfortable in doing so, for the Vidui. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha, we sin against you when we miss the mark. For the ways we are failing the Jewish people, Eternal One, we ask forgiveness. For paying scant heed to the life of the Spirit, and for ignoring the path of the Torah and mitzvot. For failing to support the land and the people of Israel, and for failing to support our own Jewish community. For failing to teach and for failing to learn. For our calling to God. And for imposing our own piety on our fellow Jews, for seeing our personal Jewish practice as the only way, and for being ashamed of who we are, for insisting on tradition without creativity, and for insisting on creativity without tradition. Ve'al kulam Eloah slichot, slach lanu, mechal lanu, kaper lanu. For all these failings, O God of mercy, forgive us, pardon us, grant us atonement. Please remain standing as we continue at the top of page 16. והכהנים והעם העומדים בעזרה כשהיו שומעים את השם הנכבד והנורא מפורש יוצא מפי כהן גדול בקדושה ובטהרה היו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים ונופלים על פניהם. The priests and the people who stood in the temple court heard the high priest, full of reverence, proclaiming God's unity by uttering God's holy and awesome name. They fell upon their faces and prostrate exclaimed, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Blessed is God's splendor and dominion forever and ever. Jerusalem is the joy of all the world, but the whole earth is yours, and all who dwell there are your children. Wherever we seek you, we may find you. Wherever we ponder your teachings, Torah makes its home. Wherever we do justly and love mercy, your presence abides. In the four corners of the earth, we, your people, are called to witness to the light of the eternal, to a teaching of compassion, to a vision of redemption. It is too small a task for you to be my servant, merely to preserve the tribes of Jacob and to restore the survivors of Israel. I will make you a light to the nations, that my liberation may reach to the ends of the earth. We take a moment again to pray individually based on the prayer at the top of page 17.
The people of the other village hate the people of this village, and would nail our hats to our heads for refusing in their presence to remove them, or staple our hands to our foreheads for refusing to salute them. If we did not hurt them first, mail them packages of rats, mix their flour at night with broken glass. We do this, they do that. They peel the larynx from one of our brothers' throats, we devein one of their sisters. The quicksand pits they built were good. amputation teams were better. We trained some birds to steal their wheat. They sent to us exploding ambassadors of peace. They do this, we do that. We canceled our sheep imports. They no longer bought our blankets. We mocked their greatest poet, and when that had no effect, we parodied the way they dance, which did cause them pain. So they, in turn, said our God was leprous, hairless. We do this, they do that. 10,000 years, 10,000 beautiful years.
Shema. You who live secure in your warm houses, who return at evening to find hot food and friendly faces. Consider whether this is a man who labors in the mud, who knows no peace, who fights for a crust of bread, who dies at a yes or a no. Consider whether this is a woman without hair or name, with no more strength to remember, eyes empty and womb cold as a frog in the winter. Consider that this has been. I commend these words to you. Engrave them on your hearts. When you are in your house, when you walk on your way, when you go to bed, when you rise, repeat them to your children. Or may your house crumble, disease render you powerless, your offspring avert their faces from you.
We continue with the singing of Oseh Shalom. Continuation of the Bidui, the confession on page 19. I invite those who are comfortable in doing so to please rise. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha, we sin against you when we miss the mark. For the ways we are failing in inclining eternal love, we ask forgiveness. For standing idly by while our neighbors bleed, for turning a deaf ear to the cry of the oppressed, for ignoring those who suffer in distant lands, and for ignoring the poor in our own midst, for using violence to maintain our power, and for using violence to bring about change, for waging aggressive war, and opposing aggressors, for engaging in gossip and slander, and for distorting the truth for our own advantage, for failing to work for peace, and for keeping silent in the face of injustice. Ve'al kulam Eloah slichot, slach lanu, mechal lanu, kaper lanu. For all these failings, O God of mercy, forgive us, pardon us, grant us atonement. please be seated. We continue individually at the top of page 20.
The sad children's song. This house is a wreck, said the children, when they came home with their children. Your papers are all over the place. The chairs are covered with books. And look, brown leaves are piled on the floor under the wandering Jews. Your face is a wreck, said the children, when they came home with their children. There are lines all over your face. Your necks are like curious turtles. Why did you let yourself go? Where are you going without us? This world is a wreck, said the children, when they came home with their children. There are bombs all over the place. There's no water. The fields are all poisoned. Why did you leave things like this? Where can we go, said the children. What can we say to our children?
The Asians dying. When the forests have been destroyed, their darkness remains. The ash, the great walker, follows the possessors forever. Nothing they will come to is real, not for long. Over the watercourses, like ducks in the time of the ducks, the ghosts of the villages trail in the sky, making a new twilight. Rain falls into the open eyes of the dead, again with its pointless sound. When the moon finds them, they are the color of everything. The nights disappear like bruises, but nothing is healed. The dead go away like bruises. The blood vanishes into the poisoned farmlands. Pain, the horizon, remains. Overhead, the seasons rock. They are paper bells calling to nothing living. The possessors move everywhere under death, their star. Like columns of smoke, they advance into the shadows. Like thin flames with no light, they with no past, and fire their only future.
We continue in the song sheet again with Ani Ve'ata.
Amen.
We continue on page 22 with more of the vidui, the confession. Please rise as you are comfortable in doing so. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha, we sin against you when we miss the mark. For the ways we are failing your creation, Eternal One, we ask forgiveness. For poisoning the air, polluting land and sea, and for destroying the works of your hands. For failing to learn to live with less, and leaving a mess for those who will come after us. For abusing your commandment to till and tend your earth, and for viewing your creation as a mere commodity. For lack of awe, and for our lack of humility. Ve'al kulam Eloas slach lanu mechal lanu kaper lanu. For all these failings, O God of mercy, forgive us, pardon us, grant us atonement. Please remain standing and take just a moment now for your own personal confessions. For transgressions against God, Yom Kippur atones. But for transgressions against other, Yom Kippur does not atone until we have made peace with one another. I hereby forgive all who have hurt me, all who have wronged me, whether deliberately, whether by word or by deed. May no one be punished on my account. And as I forgive and pardon those who have wronged me, may those whom I have harmed forgive and pardon me, whether I acted deliberately or inadvertently, whether by word or by deed. Ve'al kulam Eloas lichot slach lanu mechal lanu kaper lanu. For all these failings, O God of mercy, forgive us, pardon us, grant us atonement. Please be seated. Page 24. Since the destruction of the temple, prayer has taken the place of sacrifice, but that does not imply that we no longer offer sacrifices. Prayer is not a substitute for sacrifice. Prayer is sacrifice. What has changed is the substance of sacrifice. The self took the place of the thing. In moments of prayer, we try to surrender our vanities, to burn our insolence, to abandon envy and pride. We lay all our forces before God. The word is but an altar. We do not sacrifice, we are the sacrifice. To the saints, prayer is a hazard, a venture of peril. With good prayer, we may build worlds. With improper prayer, we may destroy worlds. According to Rabbi Ami, a person's prayer is answered only if one stakes one's very life on it. The Baal Shem Tov taught, it is a miracle that a person survives the hour of worship.
Geshem
We have come to the story of the 10 teachers, leaders of our people who gave their lives so that the words of Torah might endure. Reciting this tragic tale should encourage us not to weep at their martyrdom, but to redeem their suffering by learning more Torah in the year to come. For Torah is the tree of life, the promise of immortality planted within our people, and insofar as we study it within each one of us. The tree of life in the midst of the garden was denied to Adam and Eve when they were expelled from Eden, but its fruit dwells in the midst of the soul of Israel to be harvested anew with each new Torah teaching we acquire. On this fast day for the soul, words of Torah are the sweets God permitted us, the nourishment that we who seek forgiveness need the most. These things do I remember. For all the years, ignorance like a monster has devoured our martyrs, as in one long day of blood. Rulers have arisen through the endless years, oppressive, savage in their malevolent power, filled with the futile thought to make an end of that which God has cherished. In the time of Hadrian, the emperor of Rome, the study and practice of Torah were forbidden. Israel's leaders said, "How survive without the tree of life? Why live when the soul is dead?" And so they taught and learned and did God's will. God's 10 leaders were taken and doomed. Shimon ben Gamliel was slain. Remembering his wisdom and witnessing his death, his disciples exclaimed, "Is this Torah? And is this its reward?" Rabbi Ishmael was next to die. In pain and anguish he cried out, and at his cry the heavens trembled. "Accept this, affirm me, for if you fail, the world must crumble into chaos." Then Ishmael accepted his fate and said, "I will trust in you even though you slay me." These things I remember as I pour out my heart, how the arrogant have devoured us. Akiba defied the decree and continued to teach. He was among those taken. He was led to his death at the time when the Shema is recited. As his flesh was flayed, he said, "Shema Yisrael." Even now, his disciples asked. He replied, "All my life this verse has troubled me. Love the Eternal One with all your heart. Love God, though you must die for it." I prayed always to be able to fulfill this verse, and now I can. And with his final breath, he said, "Adonai Echad," God is one, proclaiming the last word until life was gone. Thus, in a godless world, was God affirmed. These things I remember as I pour out my heart, how the arrogant have devoured us. The Romans had forbidden the ordination of rabbis, decreeing death to ordainer and those ordained, and destruction for any city in which ordination would take place. Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava ordained 5 in the hills between 2 cities, Shepharim and Usha. When the enemy soldiers were upon them, Rabbi Yehuda told his disciples to flee. "What will become of you?" they cried. He answered, "I shall place myself before them as an immovable rock." So he did, and the Roman lances struck him down, but the disciples escaped. The 10 included other teachers, 10 teachers among many. Dying, they did not perish. Their faith is immortal, their God eternal. These things as I remember, as I pour out my heart, how the arrogant have devoured us. How many have there been who rest in nameless graves, and how many whose ashes were blown by the winds to the very corner of the earth? Even now the air we breathe is thick with the dust of our martyrs. Do men and women know that they breathed it still? And how can we not feel the earth trembling beneath our feet as we walk upon the ground which so many were thrust without mercy? These things I remember as I pour out my heart, how the arrogant have devoured us. And still, each time after the suffering, we rise anew, refusing to die. We rise up to tend the wounded, to comfort the bereaved, to strengthen old communities and to establish new ones. to open new synagogues, to build new schools, to write each time a new chapter in our ancient book, to continue the story of Israel, our eternal people. Eternal One, teach us to do and to hear the command that rests upon us now, to honor the memory of the slain, to bring our people back to life, to bear witness before the world to your glory and to the goodness of life. I'm adding one teacher and one more Ela Askara. I felt that it was important in the wake of everything that happened on October 7th. And as it happened, the woman that I'm adding is a friend of a friend, which I never would have thought would have been possible. Her name was Vivian Silver, Canadian-born peace activist. Vivian Silver, 74, was killed by Hamas terrorists in her home on Kibbutz Be'eri on October 7th. One of her sons, Yonatan, was on the phone with his mother when gunmen arrived in Be'eri. When he heard gunshots outside her window, he told her to hang up so she could stay quiet. They began to text one another on WhatsApp. He last heard from her around 11 a.m. that Saturday as Silver hid inside a closet in the house and told her son that the terrorists were inside the house. She believed that a massacre was happening and told her son that she loved him. She wrote me, "They're inside the house. It's time to stop joking and say goodbye." And I wrote back that, "I love you, Mom. I have no words. I'm with you." Vivian responded, "I feel you." That was the last message. Vivian was known for her peace activism as a founding member of Women Wage Peace, as well as her involvement in the Road to Recovery, driving sick Palestinians from Gaza to Israeli hospitals. Her death was mourned by friends and colleagues from the peace and coexistence work she gave her heart to, friends both Israeli and Palestinian. At her funeral, her son Yonatan eulogized his mother, saying, "Not only I was orphaned, your many friends were orphaned, the country that you adopted at a young age, and a movement that was orphaned, the movement of peace. Zecher Tzadik Livracha. May her righteous memory be a blessing." And I have a second Ela Ezkara, written by Alden Salovi. It's a poem entitled Ela Ezkara after October 7th. Ela Ezkara, these I remember, the young and the old, the children, the mothers, the babies, the fathers, and I do not look away, the brutalized, the maimed, the assaulted, the raped, burnt alive, terrorized and tortured, killed and kidnapped, and I do not look away. Al ele ani bochia, for these I weep. In every age, in our homes and our villages, in the fields and on the streets, in our cities and our towns, death and terror stalk. Eini, yorda mayim. My eyes flow like streams of water. For Re'im and Be'eri, for Pittsburgh and Toulouse, for Kfar Aza, Netiv Ha'asara, and Nachal Oz, for Mumbai and Colleyville, for Ofakim, near Oz, Nirim, and Sderot, for Paris and Poway, for Alumim, Zikim, Siduk, and Kisufim, for Hali and Overland Park, for near Yitzhak, Cholit, and Sufa, for every community in every generation. Ela Ezkara, these I remember. But how can I remember what was stolen? The loves lost, the dreams lost. Scientists, poets, artists, visionaries, leaders, learners, teachers of Torah, the generations lost. The children of children and theirs, never to be. Ela Ezkara v'nafshi alai esh pecha. These I remember, I pour out my soul from within me, and I call out, Adonai, Adonai, El Rachum v'Chanun. God, God, compassionate and gracious, remember us. On page 26 in the booklet again. Use us, Eternal One, to speed the day when poverty, prejudice, and hatred no longer threaten to destroy us. when violence, anger, conflict, and mistrust are forgotten evils, when our wealth is used to feed the hungry and heal the sick, when we cherish the world and hold it in trust for our children's children, when the weak become strong and the strong compassionate, and that which has been commanded shall come to pass. Let justice roll down like waters, and righteousness like a mighty stream. We continue at the top of page 27. Now is the time of turning. The leaves are beginning to turn from green to red and orange. The birds are beginning to turn and are heading once more toward the south. The animals are beginning to turn to storing their food for the winter. For leaves, birds, and animals, turning comes instinctively. But for us, turning does not come so easily. It takes an act of will for us to make a turn. It means breaking with old habits. It means admitting that we have been wrong, and this is never easy. It means losing face. It means starting all over again, and this is always painful. It means saying, I'm sorry. It means recognizing that we have the ability to change. These things are terribly hard to do. But unless we turn, we will be trapped forever in yesterday's ways. Eternal One, help us to turn from callousness to sensitivity, from hostility to love, from pettiness to purpose, from envy to contentment, from carelessness to discipline, from fear to faith. Turn us around, Eternal One, and bring us back toward you. Revive our lives as at the beginning, and turn us toward each other, for in isolation there is no life. For all those who suffer from a loss, may they find their way to you. Baruch atah Rofei HaCholim, blessed are you, the source of healing. For all who help and nurture others, may they find their way to you. Baruch atah Rofei HaCholim, blessed are you, the source of healing. For all who care for loved ones, may they find their way to you. Baruch atah Rofei HaCholim, blessed are you, the source of healing. For all who live with suffering and abuse, may they find their way to you. Baruch atah Rofei HaCholim, blessed are you, the source of healing. For all who are ill in body or spirit, may they find their way to you. Baruch atah Rofei HaCholim, blessed are you, the source of healing. For all with troubled relationships, may they find their way to you. Baruch atah Rofei HaCholim, blessed are you, the source of healing. For all who feel lost or alone, may they find their way to you. Baruch atah Rofei HaCholim, blessed are you, the source of healing.
Teacher Bayrock is on page 28 in the book.
May the source of strength, who
turn back to On Wings of Awe. So we're done with the little blue booklet and we're now in Wings of Awe. And for those of you who are joining us virtually, you want the slice of Wings of Awe that starts on page 506, or rather includes page 506. And again, you can get that from the website in the High Holy Days section, as long as you are logged in. That would be the word I was looking for. I would invite all those who are comfortable in doing so to please rise. Vayehir b'nsoach Aaron vayomer Moshe Kuma Adonai ve'yafutzu oivecha ve'yanusu misanecha mipanecha Ki mitzion tetzei Torah Ki mitzion tetzei Torah U'devar Adonai Mirushalayim Baruch Shenatan Torah Torah Baruch Shenatan Torah Torah Le'amo Yisrael B'kedushato. Gadlu Adonai iti, Neramema Shemo Yadav.
Adonai Hagidula Hagibura Hagiberet Hanezaneho Kiko Bashamayim Uvaretz Kiko Bashamayim Uvaretz Adonai Hamlacha Kamita Aselecho Romemu Adonai Eloheinu Ve'ishtachavu L'Adon Romemu Adonai Eloheinu Ve'ishtachavu L'Hakosho Ki Kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Shlosha Devarim Shlosha Devarim Ha'olam Omen Shlosha Devarim Shlosha Devarim Ha'olam Omen Al HaTorah Ve'al HaAvodah Ve'al Gemilut Chasadim Al HaTorah Ve'al HaAvodah Ve'al Gemilut Chasadim Lai 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 lai
Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'nishtakavu le'harkosho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'nishtakavu le'harkosho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki did you take my book too?
It's underneath.
Okay, thank you. Just checking. So you will find the tour portion for the afternoon on page 510. And for the Aliyot, I'm going to call up groups of people who we wish to honor for their contributions to Cabby, to our community. Some people end up in more than one group, and that's fine. You can be called up as many times as you would like. Well, not as you would like, but you can be called up multiple times, and it's not a problem.
You're not everything, you get called up every time.
We like our volunteers. Shmuel, I know that we didn't talk about this in advance, but can you do the pointing? Thank you. The Torah portion today is, or rather this afternoon, is from Kiddushim. It is the Holiness Code. One of the things that I'm always fascinated by, how many of you have e-readers? Anybody have like a Kindle or a Nook or, one of those things? Great. You know how easy it is to get from one place in the e-reader to another? It's like, whoosh. How many of you familiar with, Codex technology? It looks a lot like this. And you can have a table of contents in the front, and you can have like an index in the back, and if you wanted to, you can put bookmarks, and you can get from place to place really very quickly. Scroll technology, not the latest thing in any way, shape, or form. Scroll technology requires a lot of time for getting from one part of the Torah to the other. So you can imagine that the most important stuff goes in the middle. It goes in the middle because you need to be able to get to it readily from either end of the Torah. So you could be in Genesis and you can get to the middle. You can be in Deuteronomy and you can get into the middle. Who knows what's in the middle? Who knows what's in the middle? I got 3 books left. I said it was not Genesis, not Deuteronomy. Leviticus. Leviticus is what's in the middle. And pretty much in the middle is the Holiness Code. And the Holiness Code tells us how to act in the world. But it is kind of an interesting idea of holiness because holiness is how we act with other people. It's not going off to the top of some mountain and, becoming a hermit and praying unceasingly, although prayer is good, as I said last night. But it is how we interact with other people. So keep that in mind as you read along with us in the prayer book in Wings of Awe. Our first aliyah this morning is all of our amazing musicians, and yes, Murray, that includes you. We have so many amazing musicians, singers, harmonica players, shofar players, guitarists. It's astounding, and they add so much to our service. Yeah, Hila, you count too. A 1 and a 2 and a 3. Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Vaed. Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Vaed. Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher barachanu mikol ha'amim. V'nachanu et torato. Baruch Adonai Eloheinu haTorah. Amen. Vaydaber Adonai el Moshe lemor. Daber el kol adat b'nei Yisrael. V'amarta alehem kiddushim tiyu. כי קדוש אני אדוני אלוהיכם, איש אמו ואביו תיראו, ואת שבתותיי תשמרו, אני אדוני אלוהיכם. אל תפנו אל האלילים ואלוהי מסכה לא תעשו לכם, אני אדוני אלוהיכם. וכי תזבחו זבח שלמים לאדוני, לרצונכם תזבחו. ביום זבחכם יאכל למחרת, הנותר עד יום השלישי באש ישרף. ואם האכול יאכל ביום השלישי, פיגור לא ירצה, ואוכליו עוונו יישא, כי את קודש אדוני חילל ונכרתה הנפש ההיא מעמיה. ובקוצרכם את קציר ארצכם לא תכלה, תעצדך לקצור, ולקט קצירך לא תלקט, וכרמך לא תעלל, ופרק כרמך לא תלקט, לעוני ולגר תעזוב אותם, אני אדוני אלוהיכם. So this was in your honor, and I think we made you do your honor on the afternoon of Yom Kippur so that nobody else hearing all of you sing so beautifully as you did the blessings would feel bad. So good job on those blessings. This is very special. I have not encountered this in any other congregation that I have served, where there are so many who are musicians, and there are so many who give of their time and their talent to enhance all of the services. It really is pretty amazing and pretty special, and I hope for you in this coming year that you get to grow musically, that you get to grow in wisdom, and that you continue to add so much to this sacred community. Thank you. For our second Aliyah this morning, I'd like to call up those who were part of the volunteers for the Idaho Jewish Festival, also known as Deli Days. If you were part of that crew, come on up. I like it when there's more people standing up here than sitting down. I really like it. תכחשו ולא תשקרו, איש בעמיתו, לא תשבעו בשמי לשקר, וחיללת את שם אלוהיך, את שם אלוהיך אני אדוני. לא תעסוק את רעך ולא תגזול, לא תלין פעולת שכיר איתך עד בוקר, לא תקלל לא תקלל חרש ולפני עיוור לא תיתן מכשול ויראת מאלוהיך אני אדוני לא תעשו אבל במשפט לא תישא פני דל ולא תדר פני גדול בצדק תשפוט עמיתך לא תלך רכיל בעמך לא תעמוד על דם רעך אני אדוני לא תשנא את אחיך בלבבך תוכיח את עמיתך ולא תישא עליו חטא לא תיקום ולא תיטור את בני עמך ואהבת לרעך כמוך אני אדוני.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam atah v'teineinu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
So I arrive in Boise and I see that there's something called Idaho's Jewish Festival on September 1st and I'm thinking, well, what is that? And how big could it be? I was in shock, absolute shock. The beauty of Delhi Days, Idaho's Jewish Festival, is that you brought so much just passion for Judaism, and it showed, and we were able to show off who we were and show off so many aspects of being Jewish that it was just such an amazing day. So thank you so, so much for all of the work that you put into that. It is not a small thing. It was a hot day. It was a long day. You did a ton, and I want to make sure that you know how much that this is appreciated. I don't know when Delhi Days, Idaho's Jewish Festival is coming back, but I hope that you volunteer again because you made it incredibly special. Thank you so much. So our final aliyah for Yom Kippur. Whoops. Okay. Of all the things to fall, I'm glad it was a microphone and not a person. But watch your feet, folks, because there's cables. There's cables in that grass hiding. We continue on page 444. Page 444 in the prayer book. Before us, and we think of those who are in need of healing, healing of body, healing of spirit. Before us lies the tree of life, the Torah, which calls us to life. Yet on this Atonement Day, it is also calls us to afflict ourselves by fasting, by avoiding pleasure. At this moment, we think of those who did not choose affliction, those we love who live in pain, whose pleasures are scarce not for one day, but for days on end. We pray that you will heal them, grant them wholeness of body and soul. Help them know that this community also prays for them, has you at its center, you who find pleasure in life. Just as those who feel commanded to afflict themselves today will return to full life once darkness falls, let those afflicted for whom we pray return as well to life, to wholeness, to healing, to the pleasure of you. Mishaberach Avotenu Avraham Yitzhak v'Yaakov ve'imotenu Sarah Rivka Rachel v'Leah hu yivarech v'yirapeh et kol hacholim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu yimalei rachamim alehem lehachalimam ulerapotam ulehachazikam ulehachyotam v'yishlach lehem mehera refuah shlema min hashamayim lechol evarehem v'gitehem. B'tov sha'ar cholei Yisrael, refuat hanefesh, refuat haguf, hashta ba'agala, u'vizman kariv, v'nomar. Amen. we turn back to page 500 and there it is, 511. No, we're actually on page 512. Yeah, we're almost there. It's like 30 verses of Kriyas, so you know. For our last aliyah of the day, I'd like to call up the amazing ritual committee. So please come up to take this honor. And if you're already standing up here, like on the Idaho Jewish Festival side, walk over to the ritual committee side. So it's you sit up. Yeah, we're jumping forward like 20 verses. So it's okay, so it's right, it's just, it's right there. Got it? Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Mipnei seva takum vehadarta pnei zaken vayare ta me Elohecha ni Adonai vechi agor itcha ger be'asechem lo tonu oto kesrak Mikem Adonai lach yeh lachem hager hagar itchem v'ahavta lo kamocha ki gerim heitem eretz Mitzrayim ani Adonai Elohechem lo ta'asu avel b'mishpat B'midah, b'mishkal, uva mesurah, moznei tzedek, avnei tzedek, efat tzedek, v'hin tzedek yeh lachem, ani Adonai. Ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim ushmartem et kol chukotai ve'et kol mishpatai va'asitem otam Ani Adonai.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata betochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Ritual committee, you are absolutely amazing. You have helped with where the rubber meets the road for so many of the members of this congregation, making sure that the services happen on time, making sure even that this tent was set up for today and for last week. By the way, this is a good time to say, when we get to the very, very end, think about staying and helping us fold chairs. Had to add it in. Because, we can always use the help. And you care so much about the ritual and worship aspects of our congregation. And I hope that the rest of the year continues to go smoothly, that you continue to grow in wisdom, and that Sukkot is very smooth sailing, and Simchat Torah too. Yes, with help setting. Oh, we could also use help setting up the sukkah tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Thank you, Ritual Committee. At this time, I'd like to call up Michael Hecht to lift the Torah, Fran Yuschak Wolfson to dress the Torah, Ya'amud Michael David ben Abraham, Ta'amud Miriam Esther bat Abraham Sarah. Please rise in honor of the Torah. Vezot Torah asher sam Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael al pi Adonai beyad Moshe. Yalla la la, yalla la la la, yalla la 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 la, yalla la la la, yalla la la la, yalla la 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 la. Ya la la la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la la la. Ya la la la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Ya la la la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la la la. Ya la la la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. So, when I went to rabbinical school, I thought, I know Jonah. I've been listening to Jonah every Yom Kippur. I know Jonah. And then I was in shock to find out that Jonah was in the prophets. Because after I paid attention, it was like, oh yeah, he must be a prophet. But to me, it seemed like a story. So therefore, I thought it should be in the writings and not among the prophets, but I was wrong. Jonah is such an interesting story. It is the story of somebody who basically says to God, when God calls on him to prophesy, yeah, out of here, not interested. And he does everything that he can to escape. He finds a ship going as far away as he can, and once he's on the ship, he goes down into the hold, and once he's in the hold, he falls asleep. I mean, talk about somebody who's really, really running away. And then, you can't tell God, I'm not going. God's going to make sure that you get there. So Jonah arrives, and Jonah prophesies to the city of Nineveh, and lo and behold, the Ninevites listened to Jonah immediately, which was the reason that he didn't want to go. He didn't want to go because he knew these people who were not Jewish, who were getting a message from Adonai, would actually do the work and do the repentance, and they were thorough enough to even make their animals do repentance, which is a little bit cruel for the animals, let me just say. That being said, Jonah was worried that the Ninevites would make Israel look bad. And yet we read this every Yom Kippur afternoon. Given the clouds over there, I'm hoping that I don't recreate the time that I was in shul and we were reading it and it started raining. So, but fascinating story. I'd like to call up the following people who have volunteered to read parts of the book of Jonah in English. So, Shay, Joel, Fran, David, Jim, Mark, Stephen. Okay, so what you're going to do is this. Shay, you're going to be right there. And I think you guys are going to have to hand the microphone to each other. So what you're going to do is you're going to form a line. Form a line. There you go. You're good. Great. And we will just hand off, okay, you'll borrow mine. We'll just hand off from person to person. I want to read the very first paragraph, and then I'll hand it off to you, okay? So we are on page 513. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'mi'im tovim v'ratza b'divreihem ha'nemanim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai habocher b'torah u'Moshe avdo u'Yisrael amo. The word of Adonai came to Jonah, Amittai's son, saying, "Get up, go to Nineveh, that great city, and cry out to her that the evil of her inhabitants has come up before me." But Jonah got up to flee to Tarshish from before the face of Adonai, and he went down to Jaffa, found a ship going to Tarshish, paid the fare, went down into the ship to go with its crew to Tarshish, away from the presence of Adonai.
But Adonai heaved a great
It's off.
But Adonai heaved a great wind into the sea, and such a great storm arose at the sea that the ship thought she was about to break in pieces. The old salts grew terrified, and each one of them cried out to their own God, and they heaved all the baggage in the ship into the sea to reduce the weight. Meanwhile Jonah had gone down into the thighs or the hold of the vessel to lie down, and fell asleep. But the chief sailor approached him and said, "How can you be sleeping? Get up, cry out to your God. Perhaps God will take notice of us, and we will not be lost."
They said to each other, "Come, let us cast lots to find out on whose account this terrible thing has happened to us." So they cast lots, and the lot fell on Jonah. So they said to him, "Please tell us, since it's on your account that this terrible thing has happened to us, what is your work? Where do you come from? What is your land? From which people are you?" And he said to them, "I am a Hebrew, and I stand in fear of Adonai, the God of the heavens, who made the sea and the dry land." Then a great fear came upon the men, and they said, "What is this that you have done?" For the men now knew, since he had told them, that he was fleeing from the face of Adonai. They asked him, as the sea grew even more stormy, "What shall we do with you, so the sea may calm for us?" He told them, "Pick me up and heave me into the sea, and the sea will calm down for you. For I know that it is on my account that this great storm has come upon you." But instead the men dug their oars into the water, trying to row back to dry land. They failed, for the sea was growing ever more stormy around them.
So they cried to Adonai, saying, "Please, Adonai, let us not lose our lives for this man, and at the same time let us not be guilty of shedding innocent blood. For it was you, Adonai, who desired this and made it happen this way." And as soon as they picked Jonah up and heaved him into the sea stopped raging. And a great fear or awe of Adonai came upon the men, and they offered an offering to Adonai and vowed vows. Adonai appointed a great fish to swallow Jonah, and Jonah was in the belly of the fish 3 days and 3 nights. And Jonah prayed to Adonai his God from the bowels of the fish, saying,
I have cried out in my pain to Adonai, and God has answered me. From the belly of Sheol I have pleaded, and you heard my voice. You had cast me into the depths, into the heart of the seas. The floods surrounded me. All your rolling waves broke over me. I said to myself, I am cast adrift from your sight. But I shall look again upon the temple of your holiness. Water surrounded me.
I was gasping for breath. The deeps closed in on me. My head was tangled in weeds. I went down to the bottom of the mountains. The earth was drawing the bars against me forever. You brought up my life from the pit, Adonai, my God. When the breath of life was fading from within me, I invoked the presence of Adonai. My prayer entered into your presence, to the temple of your holiness. Those who heed the vaporous falsehood of idols forsake the love of your covenant. But I, with thankful voice, shall make an offering to you. What I have vowed I shall fulfill. Victory belongs to Adonai, and Adonai spoke to the fish, who spewed Jonah forth onto the dry land.
The word of Adonai came to Jonah a second time, saying, Get up, go to Nineveh, the great city, and cry out to her the cry which I told you. And Jonah got up and went to Nineveh, according to the word of Adonai, for Nineveh was a great city in God's sight, requiring 3 days to walk across it. As soon as Jonah began entering the city on his first day's walk, he cried out, Another 40 days and Nineveh is overthrown. The people of Nineveh believed God and dispatched criers to announce a fast. From the greatest to the smallest, they dressed in sackcloth. When the matter reached the king of Nineveh, he got up from his throne, removed his cloak, covered himself with sackcloth, and sat in ashes. He issued a proclamation in Nineveh, by decree of the king and his notables, as follows. Neither human beings nor animals, neither cattle nor sheep shall taste anything. They shall not graze, and they shall not drink water. Humans and animals shall cover themselves with sackcloth. They shall cry out to God with all their might, and all people must turn back, or do tshuva, from their evil way and from the violence they have done. Who knows whether God will turn back and relent, turning from the divine anger, so that we shall not be lost. And God saw by their actions that they had turned back from their evil way, and God relented of the evil which God had promised to wreak upon them, and did not do it.
But to Jonah this appeared to be a great evil, and he was angry. He prayed to Adonai and said, Please, Adonai, were these not my words when I was on my own soil? This is why I fled beforehand to Tarshish, for I know that you are El Chalun Varochum, thanks, a gracious and merciful God, long-suffering and abundant in covenantal love, and relenting in matters of punishment. So now, Adonai, please, take my life from me, for dying is better for me than living. And Adonai said, Is anger better for you? Then Jonah went out of the city and sat on the east side, where he made himself a sukkah, a little booth, and sat under it in the shade to see what would happen to the city. And Adonai, who is God, appointed a castor bean plant to grow up over Jonah, to shade his head and save him from the evil weather, and a great happiness came upon Jonah because of the bean plant. Then God appointed a worm in the warm early morning the next day, striking at the bean plant, which withdrew away. Then the sun rose. When the sun rose, God appointed a sultry east wind, and the sun striking Jonah's head till he felt faint. And he longed to die, saying, Dying is better for me than living. And God said to Jonah, Is anger for the bean plant better for you? And he said, Anger enough to die. And Adonai said, You had compassion for the bean plant, which you did not work to raise. One night it was there, the next it was gone. And should I not have compassion upon the great city of Nineveh, with 120,000 human beings who don't know right from left, and much cattle?
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, tzur kol ha'olamim, tzadik b'chol hadorot, ha'ne'eman omer ve'oseh, hamdaber u'mkayim, shekol devarav emet b'tzedek, Ne'emanatahu Adonai Eloheinu v'ne'emanim devarecha v'devarecha midvarecha achor lo yeshuv rekam ki el melech ne'eman v'rachaman ata baruch ata Adonai ha'el ha'ne'eman b'chol devarav rachem al Tzion ki beit chayenu la'aluvat nefesh toshia b'meira v'yameinu baruch atah Adonai masmeach Tzion b'vanecha samchenu Adonai Eloheinu ba'Eliyahu hanavi avdecha uv'malchut beit David nishichecha b'meira yavo v'yagel libeinu al kiso lo yeshev zar v'lo Yinechalu od acherim et kvodohu ki v'shem kodshecha nishpatam lo shelo yichbed neirohu leolam va'ed baruch atah Adonai Magen David. Interesting. I'm on page 458. Al Torah ve'al Havodah ve'al Manvim ve'al Yom HaShabbat hazeh ve'al Yom HaKippurim hazeh shenatata lanu Adonai Eloheinu likdusha v'limnucha lemechila u'leslicha u'lechapara lechavod u'tifaret ala kol Adonai Eloheinu anachnu modim lach u'mvarchim otach Yipara Shimcha b'fi kol chai tamid le'olam va'ed u'devarcha emet v'kayam la'ad baruch ata Adonai melech mochel v'soleach le'avonotenu ve'la'avonot amo beit Yisrael u'ma'avir ashmotenu b'chol shana v'shana melech ha'kol ha'aretz v'kadesh ha'shabbat ve'Yisrael ve'yom ha'kippurim. We're on page yes, 524 is where we are. Hallelujah, Shem Adonai, Ki niskav Shemo levado. Please be seated. I want to thank our tech team, Shelley Wolf, who's made sure that people can be heard, very key. And I'd like to thank our musicians. So if I got it right, if I saw everybody who was singing and playing and everything, Sandy Barringer, Don Kern, Len Levitt, Lawrence Shapiro, Annabelle Travis, Brad Wolf, and Betsy Russell. Did I miss anybody? Okay. Thank you all for what you added to our Shabbat, to our Yom Kippur. We are going to, it's now, what time is that? Is it 6 o'clock? It's almost 6 o'clock. We are going to start again in 10 minutes, but after he sings us one song. So we're going to start at 10 after the hour. When we come back at 6:10, we will begin with Yisker, and then Ne'ilah will follow. Thank you.
So she stands up every time I well, they can sense that she's not. Oh, that's It's a very interesting concept. He's like, I have to have so anyway, he's also like see, I can't bring them. You know what? It's within the hour. It's given.
Right, big story.
Good Yantiv, Shabbat Shalom. If everyone will take their seats, we will begin Yizkor, and we will move right from Yizkor to Ne'ilah. We begin on page 459, page 459. And actually, we begin with the singing of Psalm 23.
נפשי ישובר ישובר, ינחני במעגלי צדק, ינחני במעגלי צדק, למען שמו. גם כי אלך בגיא צמרת, לא אירא כי אתה עמדי, שבטך ומשענתך המה ינחמוני. תערוך לפניי שולחן נגד צהריי, נשענת בשמן ראשי כוסי רעיה, אך טוב והחסד ירדפוני כל ימי חיי, כל ימי חיי, ושבתי בבית אדוני לאורך ימים. אדוני רואי רצון, אדוני רואי לא אחסון.
This poem is not in your prayer book. It's entitled Your Death is Not a One-Time Event by Rabbi Melinda Pankin. Your death was not a one-time event, like a tornado or a bad first date that harden into memory the minute they're over. No, you die over and over every day in more ways than I can count. It happens when I expect it, and especially when I don't. I lose you all over again when I eat a salad with tangy blue cheese dressing or a bowl of cold borscht, and when I notice the nubby knit of an Argyle sweater vest, and when I hear the buzzing of a Cessna kissing the clouds beneath a blue sky, and when something makes me laugh and I think you would have laughed too. I lose you again on birthdays and anniversaries when your dependable, sweet call never comes, no matter how much I expected. I lose you at Passover when your bowls and bowls of charoset from around the world are missing from the table. And now there will never be enough charoset on the table ever again. I lose you again and again when your children get married and my children become bar and bat mitzvah, and your grandchildren are born and you can't hold them and love them and make them laugh. You are so absent now, where you were always present, and your death isn't in the past. It happens over and over again every day, in ways both tiny and enormous. You keep dying, and I keep breathing. Page 459.
בן אנוש ותחשבהו, אדם להבל דמיו, ימיו כצל עובר, בבוקר ציץ לחלב, לערב ימולל ויבש.
We read together. Adonai, what are we human beings that you should know about us? We children of the flesh that you should take account of us. A person is like a vapor. Our days are quickly passing as a shadow. In the morning we flourish and grow tall. In the evening we are cut down, dried up. You turn us to contrition, saying, Teshuvah, children of the flesh. Would that we were wise and understood what will happen to us in the end. For when we die, we take nothing away. Our glory will not descend along with us. Observe the innocent person, take note of the upright. For the end of such a person is peace. Adonai can be trusted to redeem the soul of godly people. No one who trusts in God shall be confounded. We continue responsively. At the rising of the sun and in its going down, we remember them. At the opening of the buds and in the rebirth of spring, we remember them.
At the blueness of the skies and the warmth of summer, we remember them.
At the rustling of the leaves and in the beauty of autumn, we remember them.
At the beginning of the year and when it ends, we remember them.
Together, as long as we live, they too will live, for they are now a part of us as we remember them.
When we are weary and in need of strength, we remember them.
When we are lost and sick at heart, we remember them.
When we have joy we crave to share, we remember them.
When we have decisions that are difficult to make, we remember them.
When we have achievements that are based on theirs, we remember them.
Together, as long as we live, they too will live, for they are now a part of us as we remember them. We continue on page 463. My apologies, 462. Life is not fair. The wrong people get sick, and the wrong people get robbed, and the wrong people get killed in wars and in accidents. Some people see life's unfairness and decide there is no God, the world is nothing but chaos. Others see the same unfairness and ask themselves, where do I get my sense of what is fair and unfair? Where did I get my sense of outrage and indignation, my instinctive response of sympathy? Don't I get these things from God? Doesn't God plant in me a little bit of the divine outrage at my injustice and oppression, just as God did for the prophets of the Bible? Isn't my feeling of compassion for the afflicted just a reflection of the compassion God feels in seeing the suffering of God's creatures? our responding to life's unfairness with sympathy and righteous indignation, God's compassion and God's anger working through us, may be the surest proof of all of God's reality. How often in a puzzling time we turn around to Mama asking, what does this all mean? How often in a quiet hour we turn around to the beloved of our life asking, do you remember when we feel the answer? The knowing nod near moves the breeze, but there is no breeze. The answer murmurs only in our mind. The smile lives somewhere in our eyes. No one else can see what has sown itself in us. We are their earth. Our words, our accents, half our songs, our tears, all are flowers from their lives, sweetening our blood, perfuming our flesh. Others say, what a good person you are. We know the roots. However, we too struggled when they stood beside us. From the struggle or beyond it rose. So much of it, so much we need to keep the conversation going. I'm my own person, we always said, but we weren't. We never were. Without them, we are less and more, because their shouting colors bloom in us if anywhere. We must move the breeze along to spread the fragrance, to listen past the breezes to the blow of breezes where the answers, we, begin. I continue now with a prayer that is not in your prayer book. It is entitled Yizkur for those who suffered trauma. Our God and God of our ancestors, I stand before you at this time, remembering those who have departed from my life and from my family. I pray for the insight to learn from that which was positive in their lives. Knowing that they suffered and were often led down wrong paths, I pray that they are now eternally at peace beneath your sheltering wings. At this holy time, I pray that you heal my scars and pain, and that you send healing to those around me who were hurt by the dysfunction we experienced. May I and all who suffered be blessed with empathy and strength that can result from our experiences. As we bring healing to ourselves, may we continue to grow to be a force for healing in our households, our community, and our world. Amen. We continue on page 466. Strangers' eyes don't see how in my small room I open a door and begin my nightly stroll among the graves. How much earth, if you can call it earth, does it take to bury smoke? There are valleys and hills and hidden twisted paths, enough to last a whole night's journey. In the dark, I see shining toward me faces of epitaphs, wailing their song, graves of the whole vanished Jewish world, blossom in my one-man tent. And I pray, be a father, a mother to me, a sister, a brother, my own children, body kin, real as pain, from my own blood and skin, be my own dead. Let me grasp and take in these destroyed millions. At dawn, I shut the door to my people's house of death. I sit at the table and doze off, humming a tune. The enemy had no dominion over them. Fathers, mothers, children from their cradles ringed around death and overcame him. All the children, astonished, ran to meet the fear of death, without tears, like little Jewish bedtime stories. And soon they flickered into flames like small namesakes of God. Who else like me has his own nighttime dead garden? Who is destined for this as I am? Who has so much dead earth waiting for him as for me? And when I die, who will inherit my small house of death and that shining gift, an eternal death day light, forever flickering? God of those who live on earth and those who live in eternity, be moved by our recollections of those we've lost. Find them in your infinite spaces and bring them to your side, that we might know you shelter them beneath the shadow of your wings, that they might know that we remember them and love them and are touched by them, whether they died this week or long ago. May they forgive us for falling short of what, in their best moments, they had taught us. May we forgive them for falling short of what we wished that they could be. Help us honor them in the lives we lead, and may they speak for us as you prepare to seal our destiny in the year to come. Bring their souls into the bond of life and grant us life, a long and healthy, virtuous life, for the sake of our love for them, for the sake of your love for us. I invite forward Sue Norton and Freddie Fisherman to read the Yisker list for this past year.
Paul Frank, Harry Packer, Lee Edge, Pam Heumann, Linda Tell, Alan Salzberg, Geraldine Weichman, Judy Garter, Maria Kunha Stern, Harriet Barrett, Shira Cronenberg, Etta Rose Schwartz, John Barnett, Linda Kern, David Ben Yosef Levy, Bruce Wynn, Earl Wynn, Rosamond Wynn, Bessie Itko, Max Itko.
Shiviti Adonai lenegdi tamid, ki mimini balenu, לכן שמח ליבי ויגל כבודי, אף בשרי ישכון לבטח, אף בשרי ישכון לבטח.
We come to the time of your own individual memories, pages 469 to 473. You'll find different Yizkor prayers for different people in your life, and we now take time to go through them. Page 476. Please rise for Elder Rachel.
אל מלא רחמים, שוכן במרומים, תמצא מנוחה נכונה, תחת כנפי השכינה, במעלות קדושים וטהורים, כזוהר הרקיע מזהירים, ונשמות יקירינו שהלכו לעולמם, בעל הרחמים יסתירם בסתר כנפיו לעולמים, ויצרור בצרור החיים את נשמותיהם, אדוני הוא נחלתם, וינוחו על משכבותם בשלום, ונאמר Amen.
O God in heaven, filled with compassion for those you bring into this world, grant complete repose to the souls of all those we are remembering today, and to all our people who have given their lives to sanctify your name. Sheltered by your divine wings, may they join the company of the holy and pure, who shine as bright as heaven. Bring their souls into the bond of life that, with you as their portion, they may repose in peace. At the bottom of page 475. It is hard to speak of oneness when our world is not complete, when those who once brought wholeness to our life have gone, and naught but memory can fill the emptiness their passing leaves behind. But memory can tell us only what we were in company with those we loved. It cannot help us find which each of us alone must now become. Yet no person is really alone. Those who live no more echo still within our thoughts and words, and what they did has become woven into what we are. We do best homage to our dead by living our lives fully, even in the shadow of our loss. For each of our lives is worth the life of the whole world. In each one is the breath of the ultimate one. In affirming the one, we affirm the worth of each one whose life now ended brought us closer to the source of life, in whose union no person is alone, and every life finds purpose. We continue with the Mourner's Kaddish at the bottom of page 477. Yikadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, ve'alma divrach v'yiruteh v'yamlich malchuteh, v'chayakon v'yomechon v'chayeh dechol beit Yisrael, v'agala v'zman kariv v'imru, Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam umei omaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal, shmei kudsha v'rifu, Le'ela, le'ela, mikol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, ta'amiran ve'elma v'yimru, Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'yimru, Amen. Oseh shalom b'roma, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'yimru, Amen.
Shalom, 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 במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן.
Please be seated. We're going to move immediately into Ne'ilah. Ne'ilah is only done on Yom Kippur. It is the service that talks of the closing of the gates of repentance, the locking of those gates, it talks a lot about gates. It talks a lot about, did you really accept our prayer? How can we know? We've got to get the last things in. This is the real hard deadline, the true deadline. Some things to keep in mind. We're going to have a shift in language. Whereas previously in our prayers we've been talking about, Kotvenu b'sefer chaim, write us in the book of life. Now we're asking God v'chot menu b'sefer chaim. Seal us in the book of life, because we're getting to that moment where the books are sealed. So that is a change in the language to be aware of, because it does come up in the liturgy. In addition, the thing that I personally like to do for Ne'ilah is stand for the, is the standing at the very, very end of the service. Now granted, I'm always standing in these services, but at a certain point, I'm going to invite you to stand, and I am not going to tell you to sit down. Because if I were sitting where you are, that would be where I would be standing. That being said, as always, if you stand up and you realize, oh, this is a whole lot more standing than I thought it would be, then please, please sit down, pace yourselves. We're almost to the end, but we need to pace ourselves so that we can make it to the other side. I get giddy in the afternoon. Yep. I'm going to invite you, since there have been people who've come in and out, I'm going to invite you to check the things that you have on your person that have batteries. If it has a battery and it makes a sound, check it. Make sure that it's actually silent or off, because we're reaching the peak here. You don't want that sound to be going on. That's right, I do have a phone for this. Did have a phone for this. Giddiness, I told you. We continue now on page 533. Page 533. In just a couple pages, I'm going to send you back to page 222, but do not lose heart. We will finish this service today, and I can see the sun going down over there. So.
I see that there are candles, little candles being passed around, so that if you start not being to see your book, they'll be. Pitfuli sha'ei tzedek avogam odeya. Open for each of us the gates of righteousness, then shall we enter, praising God. פתח לנו שער בעת נעילת שער, כי פנה היום יפנה, השמש יבוא ויפנה, נבוא על שעריך. Open the gate for us
Now, when the gates are closing, for day is passing, the sun turns home. Come into your gates. Please, God, spare. Please, God, forgive. Please, God, have mercy. Please wash away. Please forbear. Please absolve. Please let us overcome sin and wrongdoing. The drama of this day draws near its climax. Our bodies weaken as the end appears, as our flesh diminishes, the space for our soul expands. Yearning to close the distance from the soul which gave it birth, hungry body, yearning soul, we now approach the Ne'ilah gates of pardon, purity, and peace. Look around you, those who once were strangers, crowding the space we thought our bodies needed, have now, as evening falls, become familiars. Each narrow body spreading wings, on which together we may rise above beyond the gates, to join each soul to soul, each little space we struggle to preserve to space. When the shofar sounds and this exalting day withdraws behind the curtain of night, we shall begin to miss each other's company, we who crowded out each other's space, we who filled each other's space with awe. And so in these last scenes before the night descends, let us reach out to touch each other's souls, that like God before the lights came up upon the first creation, we might hover over that new day, that new and holy, pure and radiant year for which we hunger, a year in which we have discovered in a room of strangers wings to God. We continue at the bottom of page 535. To Zion shall Redeemer come, to those of Jacob's children who do tshuva for their sins. This is my covenant with you, says God, the breath with which I formed the world and Eve and Adam, the breath on which I whispered words to Moses, my most intimate prophet. That breath, those words shall breathe all your days, my most intimate people. Even when your days expire, my breath will animate your children and their children, until redemption reunites them with you for eternity. May it be your will, God of our parents and our children, to turn our souls in this hour of their cleansing to your Torah, to fill them with love and awe, able better to do your will and serve you with a heart at peace. Help us follow your mitzvot in this world, that we may be worthy to live and behold and embrace the goodness and blessing of the redemption yet to come. As we rise up once more to the Amidah, for the last time on this down-filled day, let our breath fill our breath with whispers of your glory. Let our words be worthy vessels for your praise. With inspired words of the wise and with knowledge derived from these discerning, I will open my lips in prayer and supplication to entreat and implore the presence of the monarch who is full of compassion, who pardons and forgives iniquity. Page 222. Please rise for the Amidah.
Adonai, Sefatai Tiftach, Ufiad Itahilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may sing your praises. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu V'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagdol Hagibor Ha'nora, El Elyon, Omer Chasadim Tovim, Vekonei Hakol, Vezofer Chaserot V'Imahot, U'Mevi Geulah B'Nei Bneihem, Leman Shemo Ve'ahava. Zochreinu L'chaim, Ve'lechavez b'chaim, Ve'chotmeinu B'sefer ha'chaim, Le'ma'acha Elohim Chaim.
מלך עוזר משה ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה.
אמן.
אתה גיבור לעולם, אדוני, מחיה כל אתה רב להושיע. מכלכל חיים וחסד, מחיה הכל ברחמים רבים. סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים. ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומי דומה לך. מלך בני ומלך וחי מרחמים, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, קדושים בכל יום יעלו לך סלע.
We continue individually through page 237 through 237. Page 237, please be seated. The bottom of page 239 responsively. Thank you.
You are the source of our life and the life of those who carry us into this world.
You are our rock, our shield, our defender. In every generation we will thank you and retell your praise.
For our lives which you shape with your hand, for our souls which you hold in trust, for your miracles which accompany us each day, for your wonders and your favors which fill all our moments, every evening, every morning, and dark days, and in the sunshine.
For you are the good God whose nurture never dries up, the compassionate one whose acts of love are endless. In your eternity lies our hope. For all these things, O Majesty, may your name be blessed and raised in high esteem by all who live, and inscribe for a good life the people of your covenant, and seal for a good life the people of your covenant, pour forth thanks to you in ecstasy, along with everything alive, giving honest praise to your name, O God, who leads us forth from our adversaries in triumph. Selah. You are praised, Adonai, whose name is good, whose praise is comely on our lips. The bottom of page 241.
Shalom, Tova u'bracha, chen v'chesed v'rachamim aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, amecha, v'cheinu avinu kulanu ke'echad, ve'or panecha, ki el panecha tatalanu, Adonai Eloheinu. Sim shalom, tova u'bracha, chen v'chesed v'rachamim aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, amecha, tovat chaim ve'avat chesed, u'tzedakah u'berachah ve'rachamim, v'chaim ve'shalom. Sim shalom, tova u'bracha, chen v'chesed v'rachamim aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, amecha, v'tov b'necha levarech, et amcha Yisrael, v'choleinu lechol shava, b'shlomecha. Sim shalom, tova u'bracha, chen v'chesed v'rachamim aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, amecha.
V'sefer chaim beracha v'shalom u'parnasa tova, nizacher v'nichatem lefanecha, אנחנו וכל עמך בית ישראל, בחיים טובים ולשלום.
Baruch atah Adonai oseh hashalom. We turn now forward, or back to where we were, page 537 for the Piyut El Nora Alila. Page 537.
El Nora Alila, El Nora Alila, Am Selanu Mechila, Bishat Hanila, El Nora Alila, Mete Mispar Keruim, Lechai Nosim Mesaledim, Mechila, Bishat Hanila, El Nora Alila, El Nora Alila, Am Selanu Mechila, Bishat Hanila, El Nora Alila, Shoftim Lecha Nafsham, Mechefisham Lefachasham, Vehamtiem Mechila, Bishat Hanila, El Nora Alila, El Nora Alila, Am Selanu Mechila, Bishat Hanila, El Nora Alila, Heye Lahem Lesitra, V'chaletzem Mimera, V'chotmem Lehod Ugila, Bishat Hanila, El
בשעת הנעילה, אל נורא עלילה.
זכרונותם לכם, וכל חץ ולוחם נעשה בהם בלילה, בשעת הנעילה.
אל נורא עלילה, אל נורא עלילה, המזה לנו מחילה, בשעת הנעילה. אל נורא עלילה.
זכור צדקת אביהם, וחדש את ימיהם, כקדם ותחילה, בשעת הנעילה.
אל נורא עלילה, אל נורא עלילה, המזה לנו מחילה, בשעת הנעילה. אל נורא עלילה.
קרנה שנת רצון, והשם שארית הצאן, והליבה והעלה, לי בשעת הנעילה.
אל נורא עלילה, אל נורא עלילה, המזה לנו מחילה, בשעת הנעילה.
Page 540. Majestic God, so far away on mercy's throne, let the compassion with which you rule the world enter our lives like the softening light of this departing day, and fade our sins away into the darkness one by one, sheltering us with your pardon. Grant everyone whose life began amid the darkness of the womb the revelation of your righteousness, the obliteration of our wrongdoing. God, who shaped your nature into 13 qualities, that we might appeal to your infinite distance in intimate words, let the 13 appear now out of the shadows as a covenant in force on this forgiving day, just as it was after Israel made the golden calf, and in the shadows of the rock you revealed to Moses your everlasting pardon. As Adonai descended in the cloud, Moses stood there with God and called out the name of Adonai, Yod He Vav He, and Adonai passed before his face and called out,
Adonai, Adonai, El Rachum Vechanun, Erech Apayim ורב חסד ואמת, נוצר חסד לאלפים, נושא עוון ופשע, וחטא ונקה. אדוני, אדוני, אל רחום וחנון, ערך אפיים ורב חסד ואמת, נוצר חסד לאלפים, נושא עוון ופשע, וחטא ונקה.
Adonai, Adonai, God filled with mother love, slow to anger, great in covenantal love and truth, keeping love for the thousands within the covenant, forgiving perverse actions, rebelliousness, and sin, and acquitting. May you pardon us for our wrongdoing and our sinfulness, and take us as your own. And God renewed the covenant with us before all the people. I shall do marvels, such as the earth and its inhabitants have never known. And all those in whose midst you live shall see the awesome work of God. For I am giving you the gift of my mitzvot, the very gift I gave you before you made the calf. The God who pardoned our forebears' grievous wrong promises pardons for our wrongs in the twilight of this day. responsively. For we are your people and you are our God.
We are your children and you are the one who gave us life.
We are your servants and you the one who acquires us.
We are your congregation and you are our only one.
We are your heritage and you are our destiny.
We are your flock and you are our shepherd.
We are your vineyard and you are our protector.
We are your creatures and you are our creator.
We are your companion and you are beloved.
We are your treasure and you are the intimate that redeems us.
We are your people and you are our sovereign.
We have chosen you and you have chosen us.
We come to the final confession of the day on page 544. All those who feel comfortable in doing so, please stand for this confession. And again, if you wish to be seated, rather than remaining standing through the end of the service, that's fine.
אלוהינו, אלוהינו, אבותינו ואמותינו, תבוא לפניך תפילתנו, ואל תתעלם מתחינתנו, שאין אנחנו עזי פנים וקשי אוהב, לומר לפניך, אדוני אלוהינו, ואלוהי אבותינו ואמותינו, צדיקים אנחנו ולא חטאנו, אבל אנחנו חטאנו, אבינו פשענו.
Together, God of those who sought you out in ages past, let our prayer also come before you, and do not turn aside from our entreaty, for we are not so obstinate and stubborn as to say before you, we are righteous, we have done no wrong. For indeed we have done wrong, and we join now as the gates are swinging shut, in the last confession of Yom Kippur, bringing before our eyes each letter of the alphabet, with which we have sinned, missed the mark, acted cruelly, and transgressed before you.
אשמנו,
בגדנו,
גזלנו, דיברנו דופי, הבינו, והרשענו, זדנו, חמסנו, טפלנו שקר, יעצנו רע, כיזבנו, לצנו, מרדנו, ניאצנו, שררנו, אבינו, פשענו, צררנו, כישינו עורף, רשענו, שיחתנו, תיעבנו, טעינו, תיתנו.
Page 145. Sorry. No, we're not going back that far. Actually, page 546. You reach out your strong hand to wrongdoers. You extend your welcome to those returning in tshuva. It is you who taught us to confess all wrongs before you, that we might stop hurting other people, that we might be welcomed in your presence, because you know that only dust awaits us at the end. You are merciful to us. You are bountiful in your pardon. What are we? Of what value is our life? What is our goodness, our righteousness? What help can we offer those in distress? What is our strength, our might, our power? What can we say before you, Adonai our God, God of all our worthy forebears? For in your presence mighty men are as nothing, women of renown as though they had not been. The wisest of sages are like the most ignorant. In your presence even their lives are but a vapor in the wind. All humanity seems scarcely more than animals, all passing vapors in the wind. We continue with Avinu Malkeinu on page 549.
אבינו מלכנו, חטאנו לפניך, אבינו מלכנו, אין לנו
Avinu Malkeinu, Chadesh Aleinu, Chadesh Aleinu, Shana Tova. Avinu Malkeinu, Hafel Etzat Oivenu, Avinu Malkeinu, ולתבר בחרב מרעה מושבי ומשחי ועוון מבני בריתך. אבינו מלכנו, סלח ומחל לכל עוונותינו. אבינו מלכנו, החזרנו בתשובה שלמה לפניך. אבינו מלכנו, שלח רפואה שלמה לכל החולים. אבינו מלכנו, חותמנו, חותמנו בספר חיים טובים. אבינו מלכנו, חותמנו בספר פרנסה וכלכלה. אבינו מלכנו, חותמנו בספר זכויות. אבינו מלכנו, חותמנו בספר סליחה ומחילה. אבינו מלכנו, חמול עלינו, ועל עלינו ותעפנו. אבינו מלכנו, פתח שערי שמיים, פתח שערי שמיים לתפילתנו. אבינו מלכנו, עשה למען, ויבש המים על קידוש שמך. אבינו מלכנו, שמע קולנו, שמע קולנו, שמע קולנו. אבינו מלכנו, חננו בנינו. אבינו מלכנו, חננו בנינו, כי אין בנו מעשים. עשה עמנו צדקה וחסד. עשה עמנו צדקה וחסד והושיענו.
We continue responsively on page 552. The night descends once more on the atoning sunlight of lives, made more profound and thoughtful by the words and hours we have spent together. What opened when the moon last rose as an atonement day has become at-one-ment day, in which we have come closer to our people, have become more trusting of ourselves, and have lost some of our fears of the God before whom we have stood in awe. The night descends, and we, strengthened and renewed, arise. We have shared many words about ourselves this atonement day, confessing error, thoughtlessness, misdeed, and wrong. And yet the very act of confronting failings has enabled us to confront our virtue. And so what we must leave with each other this day is the conviction of our inner worth, the knowledge that no matter what we do, we are the child of God, a valued and irreplaceable jewel in the crown that is God's universe. Now the gates are closing in, the heavens which have been the witness of our hearts on this afflicting, wearying, and yet now exalting day. As the sun descends into the sea, we pray that it may take our misdeeds, thoughtlessness, and wrongs with it, that when the stars rise in the clear night sky, there might rise with them the first and tender steps of a committed, thoughtful life, our soul awake to the brightness of possibilities that life can offer us, to enable us to shine among our cosmos as the full, bright Tishrei moon that soon will glow above us in the Sukkot sky. The night descends, and we, strengthened and renewed, arise. We continue on page 554.
Shema
Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem, Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Vaed, Baruch Shem, Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Vaed, Baruch Shem, Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Vaed.
Adonai hu Elohim, 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 Adonai hu Elohim. יתגדל ויתקדש שמך אמן בעלמא ירחיבותי וימליך מלכותי וחייכון ביום אחד וחייך בבית ישראל בגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן שמך רבה מבורך לעולם עולם בימיה יתברך יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתעלה שמי דקודשה שמי דקודשה בריחו לעילה לעילה מכל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן בעלמא תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן בעלמא ואמרו אמן תתקבל צלות אהרון ורעות אהרון בכל ישראל קדמנו הונדי וישמעיה ואמרו אמן יש למראה במין שמיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל ואמרו אמן עושה שלום במרומה הוא יעשה שלום עלינו עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן.
I need my shofar blowers. Shofar sounders, sounders of the shofar. Yes. Oh, no, let's go straight to
shofar.
Straight to shofar.
Yes.
We're very motivated to go straight to shofar. Highly motivated for the shofar.
נקייה גדולה.
May this be an amazing, amazing year. We're back to Lashana Tova. And we are going to do Havdalah, and we're going to do it in a circle around the fire pit over there. So, and two quick things. One, as you are leaving tonight, there is a break fast following Havdalah. If you are leaving tonight, consider coming in and folding a few chairs, if not lots of chairs. And two, the sukkah goes up tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. here. So we would love to have your help with that. And a huge, huge thank you to Eli Lenz. Okay, Havdalah.